Here, sir is here, I think. Good
Hi,
evening,
Ashwin.
sir. Finally,
Good evening.
technical issue have been sorted out. Great to see you, sir, after a long time.
Thank you very
And
much. Thank you.
sir, for last 2 to 3 days, when we posted this flyer in social medias, we were getting so many queries,
Okay.
so many questions. Basically, there were so many familiar faces, those who have worked with you, served with you, many junior
Okay.
officers and candidates. Anyway, great to see you, sir.
Thank
Uh,
you.
we
Thank you.
have we have a few familiar faces in the live today. Many have already messaged us that some power fluctuation, this, that, raining heavily, they are not able to join. They have
Oh,
been conveying the message that if the session can be recorded. Anyway, this will be a recorded session post the live, sir. Uh,
okay.
anyway, for those who are not aware about Captain Sanjay Jayaswal, sir, as sir was there in Indian Navy as a executive branch officer last 34 years in Indian Navy, sir has served. Was an executive branch officer, as I said. Sir was a specialist in gunnery. Have done UAV course also. He was a UAV observer too. He has done courses abroad in UN, various leadership courses. Sir has done even project management course at IIM Ahmedabad during before his retirement. Primarily, sir was post his specialization on board various mighty warships on board. He has got the opportunity to be the interviewing officer. Sir has been in 12 SSB Bangalore, was a senior IO there. Have done almost 2,000 plus candidates interview whilst he was there at 12 SSB Bangalore. Both for Navy and Army, sir has done the IO part. Then in Navy, sir has been in various units on board ships as training officer, training coordinator at various higher posts when whilst his retirement. And one of the best tenure that I can say or I can cherish was I was with sir when he was there as the commanding officer of 7 Kerala Naval NCC unit at Ernakulam, and it was a good tenure to be with Jaiswal sir. He was a great mentor. Lots and lots to tell about. You all have read about sir's. I mean, it's a long, long list about his career. It's there in the NIDAS Academy's faculty. You all can go through it. Sir has been given, I mean, awarded the commendation from the Chief of Naval Staff and also Flag Officer commanding Eastern Naval Command whilst his tenure for his exemplary service that he has been dedicated while he was during his service. Today, sir, many of them are eager to hear from you about SSB interview because when we started this academy a few months back, uh, many across, not only from Kerala, across the country, there are aspiring candidates who are preparing for SSB. There are still, if you go through YouTube channels or Instagram or Facebook, everything about SSB is evident, but
Yes.
still people are not making it, that is separate, but still there are some general queries which every day we get calls in IDAS Academy. Apart from that, personally also there are people candidates inquiring about basic queries. So the aim of this program is just to apprise them about a brief insight into SSB interview, what all they should know about SSB interview in brief, and some basic general queries which they have been asking. So it's like maybe, sir, half an hour. That's all, because more than 40 minutes, nobody's attention we can spend. So just half an hour, we will have a conversation about all your insight. That's what they wanted to know about SSB interviews.
Okay.
Uh,
First of before we commence our session, first of all, I'd like to say thank you very much for inviting me to this talk. Secondly, that all those who are watching, and I'm sure at the end of our session, they benefit from what we're going to discuss. And as you rightly said, there's too much of information available on the internet on SSB. And I have seen that people do get misguided by what is available on the net because they can't discern between what to take and what not to take. So, welcome everybody who has joined in for this session, and I'm sure Ashwant is going to eke out every possible information about SSB, which is likely to benefit all the aspirants who are here. So, Ashwant, you can start. I can see a lot of names who are familiar to me, but I'm sure they are not looking for SSB. It's just following me by, since we are live in the session. But I'm sure this is more meaningful to the aspirants who want to join different services as an officer, and obviously if their parents and relatives or elder brothers or sisters who are online. So I'm sure they will benefit from this session. So Ashwant, you can start.
We will, sir, as already we have said, this session is for those who are aspiring for SSB, and at least we assume that they know at least the basics of SSB interview. Fine, it's a procedure. I mean, today morning I got a call from a parent who is planning to send his kid from 10th standard for 2 years of NDA preparation. So they are not aware of SSB. So I have told them this session for those parents or students who are actually looking for the detail. Today we will not cover about what is going to happen inside SSB in 5 days. We will be just giving you all a brief insight of SSB interview. Especially sir was an interviewing officer in SSB board. So particularly this domain, because last week we have covered with senior GTO Commander Vikas Yadav, sir. He was there with us, especially covering the basic parts of basic tasks. I mean, we are not going in detail about what is going to happen. Just some basic general queries. So as everyone knows, SSB, it's all about, it's a procedure, it's a scientifically designed process wherein which 3 assessors will be assessing you all, and post you get recommended, you become an officer in the armed forces. So everyone knows it's like 3 assessors, as I said: psychologist, interviewing officer, GTO. So it's, or you can say it is like Manasa, Vacha, Karmana. So Vacha, the talking part, or the whatever you say, or you are sitting in front of the interviewing officer and interview is done. That is what the interviewing officer does. So as I said, Jayaswal sir was one of the senior IOs. So we'll be covering today particularly about the interview aspects, but we are not going in deep about what all sir is going to, what all in SSB in interview per se that he will be doing, but some general queries. So let's, few questions were there wherein which candidates say before we entering, we sit. These are from those questions from those candidates who have appeared once. Like when they are sitting outside the interview or room or the hall where they wait for some 5 to 10 minutes, they get, many candidates face this anxiety, fear inside when they are sitting outside. They overthink, or they think about what all things going to be ours, and then unnecessarily they put themselves into pressure or unnecessary tension. They sweat outside. So a piece of advice to them, sir. We can start with that flow. So how would you like, or some tip for them so that when they are sitting outside, they can be stress free or they can be cool?
Yeah. The answer lies in your question itself. You mentioned about they should be stress free, and they overload themselves with a lot of anxiety. Now, when you come to a room waiting outside, for an interview, we've almost more or less finished the psych and the GTO task. So you would know the last 3 days, or maybe the 4th day, if you finish all the tasks, that how you have performed. SSB is only about you knowing yourself, and it is nothing more and nothing less. When I say you should know yourself, that means when you are in SSB, what you have done in the preceding days, you would have done your assessment at the end of the day. So you would know how you have performed in tasks, where you've done better, where you could have done better, where you were the best. All that is known. So that analysis has to be done. And since the interview is nothing but is all about you and your present in the SSB, you should only think about when you're waiting for the outside, for the interview to start, that is going to be about you and nothing more, barring certain other questions which I will deal later. So what happens when you're waiting for the interview, for your time to come, you are unnecessarily burdening with the thought that what question he's going to ask. Now in this world, there is no limit to what question can be asked. And that is what is, weigh down the candidate while he or she is waiting. So first piece of my advice is to them that when you are coming for the SSB, not only for the interview, when you're coming for the SSB, it is only about you. We are going to assess your personality, suitability for the armed forces. So you don't have to overtly prepare for anything. And this overt preparation causes anxiety, stress, and you start fumbling at the point of interview. So my only suggestion to anybody who has come to the SSB and coming for the interview per se, he or she has to be just himself or herself and know about what has happened in the SSB, know about in the past, how you led your life till that date when you enter the room, what you need to know about yourself, what is your future plan, and things like that. So over-stressing yourself does not help in any way. You should go there as far as possible stress-free, without any burden, without any baggage of what kind of questions are going to be asked. Now, this is one question which bothers till the time you get out of that room. So my advice is, please do not burden yourself with that thought that what question is going to be asked. Whatever is going to be asked is only about you. We are not going to check your, knowledge to the extremity. It's not an IIT exam. It is about you, the world around you. So only thing is, think about yourself. And I don't think in today's time, children do know about themselves, what their intentions are, what they want to do, what they are doing. They are aware. So there is no need to get stressed about, sitting outside for the interview with the question that what is going to be asked. Okay.
I think it's pretty clear now for those who have asked about these queries.
Okay.
Sir, many questions like I go for when candidates telling they go for Bangalore SSB, they go for Allahabad SSB. So what attire should we wear? Should I
Okay.
carry a blazer, suit, this, that? So, you all can hear from sir, he was there in Bangalore SSB, Allahabad SSB. So it depends. So he will answer this question pretty clear.
I think this is one of the questions which come from overthinking by the candidates. I can understand candidates are overthinking because of the anxiety, because they see SSB as the end means of everything, which it is not. Because by making your life begging at SSB, what you're doing, you're stressing yourself unnecessarily. And when you reach that anxiety level, then you want every question answered before you go for SSB. And as simple as that, what should I wear? Now, this is the question we should be least bothered about. But since you are so anxiety driven that you want to know the answer for even this. But now that you've asked me, I will tell you. As everyone who knows little about SSB, it's a semi-formal interview. The SSB interview is a semi-formal interview. Now, being in the semi-formal interview, you are expected to wear what the current weather. Suppose you are in a Bangalore, you're in a month of December. Obviously, it will be cold. So you should wear something which should save you from the cold. You can't be wearing only a shirt and a vest inside and doing it. Similarly, if you go to Allahabad in the month of May or June, it's so hot. It's very hot, temperature soaring around 45 degrees, 40 to 45 degrees. So you can't be wearing anything, woolen or anything on which is making you uncomfortable. I have seen people coming to Bangalore in not so cold weather and wearing a blazer and a necktie and a scarf and then sweating in front of the interviewing officer. So you should wear something which would make you comfortable based on the prevalent weather in a particular station. That is what you should keep in mind. Now coming to it, as I said, it's a semi-formal interview. You are expected to wear clean, ironed out, a trouser and a shirt for boys, and obviously a leather shoe. You can't wear a sports shoe for the interview if you have, and the shoe should be polished, and your shirt should be tucked in and not losing hanging outside. Now people also ask me, sir, shall we wear white and black? Now, please understand that you're not going for umpiring in an IPL match now. So you should wear whatever you feel like. It is not mandatory that I should wear this color only or that color only. But, I can imagine the anxiety level of children, that what they're thinking and what they're getting from the internet, because of which probably they ask these questions. You should wear a crisp, clean, whatever pant and shirt and trouser, and if you have a blazer in a cold weather or a sweater or whatever you have, you should wear, but it should be clean and ironed well. As far as girls are concerned, they can always wear salwar, kurta. They can also wear trouser and shirt, and can be a semi-formal dress. You don't have to dress overtly, because at SSB, the interviewing officer is not looking what you're wearing and in choosing you or recommending you. He is looking at your personality. And I'm sure your personality does not show only from what you wear. It is more about you and your habits and what you have done in life and what you intend doing in your future. That is what it's all about. So as far as dress is concerned, should be weather friendly, whichever station you go, depending upon what season you do, and should be clean and ironed and pressed very well. And shoes should be polished so that you don't wear a dirty shoe and walk in. And follow all the etiquettes. Okay.
I think there's nothing more required. There's no explanation more required about the attire. I hope all your queries regarding dress, attire, it's clear now. There are a few questions, sir, regarding how long the interview takes. There are more people. Some candidates are more conscious about. Sir, will it take 1 hour? Is it that in 1 hour, if I more the time, is it good? Less the time, is it bad? They are like, such questions sometimes even make us think, from where are they getting these questions?
Yeah,
I think there is no better person than clear this doubt.
these questions are coming from, I think, largely from the internet, because
True, sir.
there are people who are on YouTube channels and they run a lot of programs on SSB. Some of them are qualified SSS and some are not. By their virtual experience of being at the SSB 4 times, 5 times, they run a channel and talk very, very authoritatively about what an SSB is. But I would like to remind all the viewers who are currently watching this or maybe later, that except for the SSS who have done this job as a GTO or TO or an IO in SSB, others are really not aware about what this SSB is all about. And their advice not necessarily will help the candidates. Though the candidates in their enthusiasm try and find out more about SSB, but sometimes that becomes, not even sometimes, more or less, it is detrimental for them. Because they don't get the real information, and whatever they get, they try and, change themselves as per that, suggestion which has been floated on the internet. So as far as timing is concerned, see, SSB is for children who have 10th, 12th pass for NDA cadets or a PES entry, or then this is for BTech entries also, or people who have done post-graduation for education branch of various services. So the spectrum of, candidates' age profile is from very low at about 16, 17 onwards to about 21. Whereas the duration of the question would depend largely upon how they're going to answer that. If you ask me, generally, very broadly, it will be 30 minutes to 1 hour. But now, people who browse internet so much, they may get some input from somewhere saying that, if your interview is long, then you've not made it or you made it. So there was a lot of speculation which goes around with the timeline. That if your interview is so much of time, then probably you are clear. If it is not, then you are not clear. Or if it is more time, then you're likely to be clear. So this confuses the hell out of the candidate, because now this not necessarily may be true. And this is the question which they should not think about, because it is not their business. There are people who are doing their job and they will recommend you or not recommend you based on your performance. So if you keep thinking about the questions which are not relevant to you at all, you are unnecessarily stressing yourself. And this is the reason why people see the net, get a lot of information and try and think overtly about it and then get bothered about it. Because then if somebody is not being called for the interview, for the conference, and he's waiting outside, then he's going by what matrix has been followed on the internet, that now I'll be selected, or what is the problem and why they're not calling me, am I not clear candidate. So all those questions come. I think candidates should not burden themselves for any question of this kind. But having said that, you have the timeline between 30 minutes to 1 hour. It depends upon how the candidate is answering his questions to the interviewer. If he's not going to be answering to the point, if he's going to tell the stories about it, probably will take more time. If you're going to be to the point and what he's asking, and you're giving the answer straightforward without making a fuss about it, then probably your interview will be shorter. So it all depends upon how the question and answers are being done. It has got no other implication as far as candidate is concerned. So my request and my advice to the candidates would be that please do not get bothered with unnecessary questions like these. That what time, how much time? It is not. It can be less, it can be more. It doesn't make any difference. The interviewer trying to assess you. So this is his job. So let's not sit in a judgment that why he's taking your time. Let him take his time. Let him do his job. You answer your questions. That's it. That is your job there. And relax. If it takes more time, don't worry. Spend the time. If it is less time, still don't be worried about it. Okay?
So in short, you can say just mind your business. It doesn't matter how long the other candidates' interview time has taken.
Absolutely.
Would you
Absolutely.
would you like to throw some? I'm sure there is. You can't mug up or you can't by heart for an interview and go sit there and vomit. It's all about natural way, common sense that you apply. Would you like to share some, general questions or something which is asked? Of course, it is not going to be the same question, but generally something which you would like to tell the candidates.
Yeah. See, as far as the interview is concerned in SSB, it is all about you. It is about what you have done, how you have been, how you respond to situation in your life, what have you done till date in your life, and what are your future plans. So it is your environment which is, the questions is from there, largely, with about 80 to 85%. And then the rest is your awareness level. But that is also, again, your environment itself, your awareness level about your own country, your general knowledge about your own country. And, as you go for the high classes, or if you go for a CDS or an AFCAT and others, SSB, so you are expected to know a little more about the, social milieu of life and things which are going on in our country and the issues. And it is not only relevant to the interview part, it is also relevant for a GTO, because when you're going to discuss the issues, when you're going to lecture it, these are the topics which you are expected to know about what is happening around you. So, as for the specifics of questions are concerned, I would suggest that candidates should not be bothered about what the questions could be or would be. You should be bothered about what is, has been your environment, your awareness about yourself, your awareness about your school, your awareness about your family, your friends. That is what you should be aware about, because largely it composes from here. So once you know And I'm sure every person knows about what he has done and what he has not done in his life. So there is nothing to mug about. There's nothing you to remember or get to your rote memory. You know exactly what you've done and what you did and why you did whenever you did that. So
Correct.
it is so easy when you ask, when an interview asks you a question, it is from your life. And I don't think that anybody needs to memorize or write down something what has happened in the life unless you want to tailor made it for some reasons. And that you should not do. So it is
Even
all
if it is,
about even sorry.
even if it is tailor made, he will not be able to clear also.
See, the tailor made things is I will tell you when you do things as per some advice or try and alter yourself or try and answer something to suit the SSB interviewers, I think you're doing a disfavor to yourself, because if you are going to make up, and if I can use my plain language, if you want to lie in your interview, then there is only one possibility that you'll come back. And if you speak the truth, then there are two possibilities, that either you come back or you get recommended. So you can take your pick from what you want to do. But if you remain what you are, there is no stress. You are free flowing like river Ganges. He's asking a question, you know what you have done, you answer that question. Now people think that by hiding the facts they will emerge as victorious, which is wrong. We all human beings, we all have done mistakes in our lives. So let's not hide and become superhuman. And if you don't get bothered about, if it is about you, how can you be stressed? Why should you think about what question is going to be asked? If it is all about you, you can answer anything, anytime, because it's your life. It's not somebody else's life. I'm not asking you the Jeevan Shaili of, a leader or some poet or some, writer. We are talking about you. So when we're talking about you, you should better know yourself. And if you know it, I think it's a cakewalk. Interview is nothing but a cakewalk. But you have to be truthful.
Correct. So just be yourself, apply your common sense. If you don't know, that's it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Sure. Many candidates today, after 10th, after plus two, after graduation, call us. Many people, after getting call letters, call us because we give them mentorship programs. We don't coach anyone, but we give mentorship programs. According to you, sir, when should a candidate start his preparation?
Okay. Now, those candidates who would like to join the mentorship program, largely it would depend upon their current status. That is, if I'm not mistaken, from the time you get a call letter, you have about 30 days to 45 days. Am I right, Ashwant?
True, sir. You're right.
Now,
Roughly 30 days, minimum 30 days he gets.
yeah, 30 days to 45 days, maybe 50 at the max. What is important here is the background of the candidate. When I say background, it means not the status of the family, etc. It means that educational background, that how a candidate has studied in the 10th and the 12th, or is or her bachelor degree. Because I have come across many candidates who have done their education in vernacular medium. So if it is a North Indian, it would be in Hindi. If it is a Malayali, it will be in Malayalam. And from people from Tamil Nadu have done there in Tamil. So having done that in their 12th standard for an NDA, if you come for an SSB interview, you would know that all the questions and every answers is expected in English, because your psych test, etc., is only in English. Now, if you do not know how to speak well, and if you don't understand English, then this timeline is very, very low. You are cutting very short. While at the outset, I would say that preparation per se is not required for an SSB. But for you, in a manner, if you have to answer a question, you need to understand the question too. So if the question is in English and you have to respond in English, you should be well versed with your ability to write in English and speak in English. Now this misnomer is at times available in the net that you don't require to know English. I really fail to understand why people advise like that. Because if you look at the NDA paper, so that may be in English and Hindi, and people who are from Hindi medium schools in North India, say MP, UP or Bihar, they would qualify. But what would happen in the SSB? The questions which in the psych test will be in English. It has to be answered in English. You can't be writing in Hindi, the answers. And lecture rate, etc. and all that has to be done. Interview questions would be in English. So you need to know. So now if that kind of preparation is required, this timeline is too short. That's number one. If you actually look at the entire SSB procedure, you can see that, at times in GTO, task or a psych task, say TAT or WAT or, even PPDT or picture perception or thematic appreciation, you are not able to write number of stories as required by the test. Now, this something requires your ability to think and write quickly. So, if you are able to write, say, about 3 stories or 4 stories, in a given stipulated time, because all these tests are against time. So you need to practice that. And you need to practice, you need time. So then the preparation time you may fall short. So my advice to the aspirants would be that they should join early. Joining post call letter, maybe they will run against the time. But unless you are very good, and if you are too good in English and your command and your responses are too sharp, then it would be okay to join even after that. But in my experience, I have seen the candidates who appear, a large number of majority of the candidates would fall into a bracket where post will be a slightly tight schedule for them to improve on their performances. When I'm saying improving in the performance, it is only with respect to what the speed of writing. There's nothing to do with the personality. Personality, what they are, they will remain. You're not going to change that in the mentorship program. And I'm sure you're also not changing that in your program. It's only all about you, but yes, your speed can be increased because if your English is not good, then probably, you need time to improve your spoken English and your writing ability. Use frame correct sentences, grammatically correct sentences, correct spellings, all that. So that would help. That is why post call letter joining and a mentorship program may not be very suitable for all the candidates, because majority of them should take it before and for a longer duration, so that they are very well versed with the timings of responses.
Great. I think that has answered the question, sir. But when they ask, many of them ask, sir, can we do self preparation? If we are doing self preparation, how to go about it? So, according to you, sir, of course, there are many people have not gone for any mentorship programs, done self preparation and cleared SSBs. But if they get an opportunity, self preparation, of course, whatever they would like to, they can do, or a mentor being in life. Of course, the mentor word itself, it can be anywhere in life. So, is it how they can prepare well? Can they do self preparation, or some mentorship programs will help them, guide them?
Yes, nowadays, Ashwant, if you see in our entire academic and otherwise system, we have coaching everywhere. When you want to pass, even today, if you want to do it, apart from doing a JE or NEET or any other examination, you have coaching centers where you are coached, where you practice things to perform, and your syllabus is tailor made to suit that program. So in this environment where every stage children are being taught or coached, SSB does not remain, an arena beyond that. So people have started looking for getting, trained for SSB. But SSB is different ball game. It's not where you can actually, coach yourself, and that is why this term mentorship comes. Mentorship is nothing but the guidance. Now, depending upon the candidate, you know, guidance is essential for some. Those who are sharp uh, and can do themselves, they can prepare themselves, because it is not about changing the personality at all. It is about your ability, and some people are so adept in spoken English and writing ability that they actually do not go anywhere. They do it. And if you look at 30 years back when we joined armed forces, those days there was no mentorship program, no coaching on SSB, very, very little, a few places, certain cities. And candidate used to just land up at SSB and listen to what the instructor has to say and follow that. So that is why I insist that, it is not so much essential. But yes, the environment is such that children, those who aspire to become officers in armed forces, would like to know about SSB, and then it helps, because when they see the neighbor, the person who's aspiring is going for a coaching, they can't remain away. So that way, if knowing about the procedure, knowing about what it is all about, because a lot of doubts are there in children's mind because of the social media today, because of the internet availability, and that is a big problem, because they really do not know what to pick and what not to pick. There's so many videos, there's so many things. So I think the
That was
mentorship
that
program.
was that was indeed my next question. Uh,
So that
do
is
we
why
require? Because I was thinking today, do we require some mentorship program? Because everything is available in YouTube. Everything
okay.
today, you just put something in YouTube. GTO, all tasks of GTO. So,
Yeah.
sir, do first question is, what is your opinion about these YouTube channels created by, I don't know, students, assessors, I don't know. So, were there do do we should they follow these YouTube channels, or should they avoid it? What is your takeaway, sir, about this?
Okay. Now, see, everything what is given here has a plus and minus. Unfortunately, when the aspirants as young as 17 years, even about 20 years, when they look at the social media, it's a very gullible age, actually speaking, where you adopt most of things thinking it is beneficial to you. Okay. So, in my opinion, coming to the previous question first, let me complete that. That mentorship program is essential to remove these cobwebs which you have in your mind about SSP. Okay. And the real guidance is required so as to what it is and what you need to do about it. That's it. It is not because YouTube channel and SSB programs by qualified as well as unqualified people are there on the net, if I'm not mistaken. On the YouTube channel, people talk about task, etc. See, the task, etc. is also given in the book. There were books written by the retired assessors, which were very prevalent in my time also when I gave the SSB. But now those things have, come down to the social media, in the WhatsApp group, in the various websites. Everybody is almost running his own channel and a website giving gyan about SSB. Now, some of them, see, it is very not possible for me to have gone through the entire what is available on social media or what is available on the internet. It is humanly impossible to know everything about it. But in a nutshell, you can say that in the enthusiasm of telling people, people do tell so many things which are not required to be known, by children who are wants to appear for SSB. And some information is absolutely incorrect, which they adopt, they actually go on a tangent, then their behavior, they start doing the impression management of all kind, which is absolutely not required, because you have to be yourself, as you also mentioned many times during our conversation. That you can't be, if you are Mr. X, you have to be Mr. X. You can't be Mr. Y. Just because you go through the YouTube channel and somebody said that, you should not tell this, you should not show that. All that is nonsense. You cannot. The moment you try and show yourself as somebody else, then you are doing a disfavor to you, as I said earlier. You have to be yourself. See, I'll give you a very simple example. There are a lot of traits in human, okay? And there are certain traits which are required for armed forces as an officer. Now, these traits, if you do not have in you, that only makes you not suitable for armed forces. But does it make you a useless person? No. You will be useful, very, very useful, in fact, for any other kind of a job. At that moment, you do not know that. A lot of people take it as a do or die situation of SSB, which is not. SSB is only looking in you for certain traits. If you have those traits, you are suitable to be an officer in the armed forces, because armed forces is not like any other job. There, you are risking your life at any given moment of time. Now, no other job demands that. To have that kind of personality, you need certain traits in you. So if you're going to make up, if you do not have that trait, and by virtue of your knowledge on the YouTube channel and the websites, or advised by a lot of people who do not know about SSB, you try and portray that quality in you or that trait in you. But what would happen? You probably will crack the SSB, but you will go to the front. And then, since you do not have that trait, either you will risk your life, or you will have your men killed, or you will run away from them. So, when YouTube people are talking about it, they do not know how it's going to turn out. You may lose your life because you're faking yourself on a SSB. Right? We know, we have heard about stories, various PVCs, Mahavir, Chatras, Vikram Batras and all that. They have lost their life. And if they had imitated themselves or portrayed as a different personality, they would have run away from the scene of, fight. So today we remember them because what they did, and they did because they had the traits in them. So looking at the internet, I find people are trying to modify themselves, trying to suit themselves for SSB, which is absolutely neither in their interest nor the interest of the nation. So my advice is, for anybody who wants to know about SSB, either they should, go through the YouTube channel or what, just to know what the process of SSB is. While it is, you're not going to get the key out of success, but you would at least know. You will not be ignorant about SSB. There are so many days, these are the tests required, this is how the test is conducted, this is the timeline. This is all good to know for you. You should know that. In today's time, information is available, so why you should not? You should know, but nothing beyond that. But as I see today, largely the information which is available on the SSB about YouTube channels or the websites, they are detrimental. They are trying to alter yourself. They are trying to tell you, please say this, please portray this, please don't tell this. All that is incorrect. And in the enthusiasm or the anxiety, candidate would like to take all of that and actually in the turn harm himself or herself.
Just adding on to that, sir, like, I don't know, maybe after seeing the YouTube channels or exhaustive videos, many candidates ask us, sir, what should I do to increase a particular oil queue? I'm not taking the name of it. Even the oil queue, I think the entire list is available. Even the factors are also descriptive over there.
Okay.
What should, of course, what is your view on it?
Okay, I find it ridiculous. See, people have to, people can earn their living by, not misguiding youth. See, these information has got nothing to do with the candidates. Okay. Let's say about one quality, since you mentioned the quality, say one of the trender will take the courage. If courage is a quality, so either you have the courage or you don't have the courage. What is the point knowing about it? Just by knowing the word courage, are you going to become courageous? No, not at all. Similarly about leadership. Either you have those traits of leadership or you do not have. So what is the point knowing about leadership? Somebody going to ask you the definition of leadership? Or someone is going to ask you, please list down 5 qualities of OLQs. Nobody's going to ask you that question, neither in written nor in an interview. So why should you know it? But people on YouTube and otherwise, they tell these qualities, etc. And the candidates actually memorize them. And then they start thinking that how shall I portray that I have these qualities? They don't have to do that. The tests are designed such a way that it would be known whether you have it or you don't have it. You don't have to tell the interviewer or a psych test or GTO that, sir, I am a leader. No. If you have the leadership traits, it would come out automatically. You don't have to worry about it or trying and bring it out from inside and show it to the assessor that you have leadership. So it is all detrimental. There is no need, I may repeat, there is absolutely no need for you to know what are OLQs. It does not matter at all. Just by knowing it won't help you. It will only bother you that, every moment of your life that, I am not showing this quality. I am not showing that quality. And you forget what SSR is asking you to do. So your mind is running on those qualities and you are making an attempt to, show that quality to the assessor and you're not listening what he's asking you to do. So all that is very, very, very detrimental. I'm repeating again at the cost of being repetitive because I don't want any candidate who is currently listening to this session should get misguided, because at the mentorship program, it should be removing, as I said earlier, removing the cobwebs which you have in your mind, because you've gone so much through the internet that you really are, at your wit's end what to do now. Okay. So there is no need, absolutely no need for knowing any qualities or, various, sections in which the qualities, nothing. That is for the assessor to know. And please remember that he knows his job. So please don't bother about his job. You just perform your job. And your job is what? Is to answer the question very clearly and very precisely.
You will be surprised to hear, yesterday I got a call from the candidate asking, sir, how can I improve my sense of responsibility? So I asked him, I was surprised I asked him from, where did you get this? So he was like fumbling. I understood either somebody has told him or he has found it from. So these types of questions unnecessarily getting into their head rather than preparing some general awareness or maybe something wherein which he can talk. So anyway,
Yes.
You have covered it well, sir, about the OLQs, whether to look onto it or take a proper guidance from a qualified person. Thanks a lot, sir. I think we have planned only for half an hour. We have extended, I think, more than 45 minutes. One last question, sir, before we wind up. It's many people ask me this, not candidates, maybe their parents. Sir, do we have to give some bribe, or is the bribery happening inside? About those myths. So, some last few comments about the myths, and then we will wind up, sir.
I think as Indian, we all are responsible for this kind of thoughts, because in our lives for so many independent India, we've been seeing in various departments that we cannot actually think otherwise. But the fact is far from it. See, this is not the only myth which floats around. There are many others which I'll just mention few. I would like to assure the parents who are watching and even the candidates that as far as SSB is concerned, there is absolutely no bias at all. Where you come from, which background you come from, whether you are a son of a politician, son of an armed forces personnel, or your father is a peon in a bank, or a rickshaw puller, or a auto driver. It does not matter to us at all. Please keep in mind that we are looking at you. When I say you means it is the candidate. What is your social status? What is your father brings home? How well you've been brought up? Whether you've gone to convent school or not? No, nothing matters to us. And there is absolutely no bias for armed forces personnel, children, etc. No, absolutely not. There is, you should not carry any such notions. And I think all these myths are generally floated around by the people who have not succeeded in SSB. I do not blame them, but it's kind of vitiating an atmosphere, Ashwant. When you fail, you tend to believe that, okay, that that could be the reason. So the very pointed question of yours is about money, whether the money hands change with that SSB. I said absolutely no. It doesn't matter, and I will tell you how it gets perpetuated. I think that would make very clear to those who are currently listening to this. See what happens when you go for an SSB, you're anxiety driven and you want to get through it first time. All that is there. It's in everybody. We all are human. So if somebody outside SSB meets you and says that, no, I will get you through, but you'll have to pay me something. So having been in the same environment where you're born and brought up in our country, you give it a thought. You can't be faulted for giving a thought, and you want to get through. So you speak to your parents and tell them that this guy is there and he's asking for money, but he is ensuring that we will get through in SSB. So your father, your parents ask you, how you sure that you said, no, he told me that you give me 50% now and 50% after the conference when you get through. So your parents will ask, in case you don't get through, then what? Then he says he'll give the money back. Now that is a very lucrative proposal to refuse, because you are in a win-win situation. So you somehow convince, or your parents get convinced, and you give him a 50% of whatever he's asking, and you finish your SSB, the conference. There can be only two outcomes: either you make it or you don't make it. Now, if you make it, then obviously you'll come out and arrange for more money and give him the balance 50%. And if you don't make it, then you run out of the conference hall and trying to locate that guy so that you get your 50% advance which you gave should be back. And fortunately, you get him. Fortunately, he stands where he was standing the first day. So you go and tell him that I did not make it, please return my money, and he gives you promptly the entire money back as it is. Now, in either of the cases, Ashwant, as you can see, the one who made it also paid the money. The one who did not make it got the money back. So what happened? In both the cases, it got ingrained in them that money is being exchanged at the SSB for recommendation. But what the fact is? The fact is that nothing like this happened at all. What the gentleman who was outside, I may not call him gentleman, the man who was standing outside, he made a fool out of you. He made a fool out of your anxiety and your willingness to believe him, because you unfortunately or fortunately come from the same environment. We all come from the same environment. So you can't be faulting the candidate for that. But he's made a fool out of you. He did nothing. And the candidate got selected or got recommended, and the candidate who did not get recommended, both returned to their home to tell the story that this SSB money changes hands and you can get through. So this is how the myth get perpetuated. Okay, please be aware of such fraudsters. Please be aware that there are always crooks roaming around to fool you and to make you a bakra for their own vices. Please don't fall for it, and make, not only tell yourself, tell everybody around you, include parents. Even if you meet somebody who's telling you this kind of advice and nothing like this happens, please don't believe in all these rumors, all these myths. Believe in yourself. Believe that you can be yourself and get through recommended in SSB by your sheer performance. Nothing else matters at all in SSB. Nothing else. No source, no resources, no push, no letters, nothing. I have seen candidates who belonging to serving senior officers getting rejected because they do not have those traits which are required you to be an officer. So it is as simple as that. And there's another myth which floats around, Ashwant, that this is regarding that very impartial. That means when you go for a second time, you are not seen by the same assessors. For to avoid any kind of bias against you, you are always seen by a set of different assessors. So you get an adequate chance like any other candidate. Every time you go as a fresh candidate as far as your assessment is concerned. It is, we do not want to have any bias against any candidates. That's why the same assessor does not see the same candidate. If you go to the same SSB, if you go to different SSB, that's a different ball game together. In any case, you are new to that. So these myths about any kind of a bias against a repeater, any kind of a bias based on your background, based on your religion, based on your who's your father is, nothing works. There is no money which is exchanged in SSB. It is pure you and your traits what matters to us, and that is what the SSB is going to look at that and nothing else. I hope I answered that question in detail.
You well covered everything, sir. I mean, the parents who are listening, they had this doubt whether this thing still happening or was it happening? Is it stopped? I think you've covered it through everything, sir. One last piece of advice before we wind up, especially those NCC special entry candidates have got the call letters, CDS call letters have come. So one last piece before we wind up, a piece of advice for those who are going for the SSB.
Okay. My advice to every candidate, whether you're going it now or going to it later, or maybe preparing yourself and going to appear for 2 years later, every candidate has to be himself or herself. There is absolutely no need to change yourself. No, personality is what you are made of at the moment. And though personality changes with time, the time which is now, when you're preparing for it, is not the time when it's going to change. It's not going to change overnight. So please be yourself, okay? And stop bothering about the point of view of assessors. A lot of children asking what he will think, what assessor is going to ask me. You don't have to bother about, what assessor is going to do. That is his job. You please leave that job to him. What you should bother about yourself. You should know, you should be aware about yourself and your environment. That is the key for your SSB interview. You need not know beyond that. See, when I say environment, it is not only about you, your parents, your siblings, your friends, your teachers. Wherever you spend time, that influences your environment. So that you should be aware about. In addition, if your academics, your subject knowledge, if you're a BTech, then probably about engineering, whatever engineering discipline you're doing, you should know about that. You know the basic concept of engineering. If you are a 12th student, you should know basic about physics and science and chemistry and mathematics. If somebody asks you all of a sudden, please, what is the conversion? You don't know the conversion. I know people who can't convert between meters and centimeters. That either they are actually do not know, or they're really stressed that they're not able to answer. So if you don't stress yourself, it will be much, much easier. And how do you stress? You stress yourself by unnecessarily trying to question, gather so many things which are not warranted. Unnecessarily trying to think from the point of view of assessors. Unnecessarily thinking, trying to make an impression management on the assessing officer. Don't do all that. Just be yourself and relax. And I'm sure everybody, every boy and a girl who's aspiring, he or she knows about today children are much more aware than our times. So I don't see any reason for them to get stressed. So no stress. Know yourself very well. Know your environment. And that's it. That's all you need to know. Yes, obviously, if you are not okay with your conversational English, then probably you need to improve it, before you step in for SSB.
Thanks a lot, sir. Almost everything you have covered, starting from our, before entering into the interview room, when they are sitting, how, or a piece of advice over there, generic questions, then about what all procedures are going, what happens inside, whether do they need a mentorship, or whether should they go and follow the YouTube channels wherein which all distorted informations are there, about the myths, and the last piece of advice. I think nothing more required. Those who have heard or listened to what Jaiswal sir has said, you don't require any more guidance. Thanks a lot for your valuable time, sir. This last 1 hour. Sir, please.
I just wanted to say that thank you very much, Ashwant, and I hope that those who are listening, they imbibe these things and don't unnecessarily stress themselves with respect to SSB. Life is much, much bigger. We must not pin everything on the SSB. Okay, there have been personalities who have not made it to SSB, but made it big, made it very, very big in our country itself. So don't worry about too much about it, because too much you think about it, too much you stress yourself. And what you should go to SSB is without the stress. Okay? And believe yourself.
Thank you, sir.
Don't gather information from everywhere. And I think they will do good. Okay?
They will. Thank you, sir. Thank you for your valuable time. It was enlightenment session. I haven't got enlightenment. Those who have attended, at least give your valuable feedback. And we will, Nidus Academy will bring more and more such enlightenment sessions with you all. Like today we got Capt Sanjay Jayaswal, sir, who was 12 SSB. He was there in the SSB as an IO. Next time we will bring some other personalities. So let us thank Jayaswal, sir, for your wonderful 1 hour with us.
Thank you very much, Ashwin. Thank you very much. And I hope it is beneficial to all those who are listening. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Have a good day, sir.
Bye-bye.